Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Tonight, viewers, we shall look into Manipur's war on drugs, which seems to have received a renewed boost, with communities now coming forward to support the movement launched by Chief Minister N Biren Singh. Later in the evening, we shall also try to decode the Trinamool Congress's strategy for Assam on a day the party saw itself entangled in a controversy of sorts after security personnel accompanying party leader Abhishek Banerjee were accused of manhandling journalists in Assam. But first, on to Manipur. Soon after taking charge as Chief Minister for second term, N Biren Singh launched the War on Drugs 2.0. However, the prevalence of poppy cultivation in parts of state, especially remote corners, had the Chief Minister worried. So much so that recently he sought help from the centre and the donor ministry for providing alternative livelihood for poppy growers. However, something significant has happened in the state in the last few days. Well, as many as two communities, the Pomai Naga community and the Thankul community, came forward to back the CM's war on drugs. Not only this, they also took a pledge that they won't allow poppy cultivation in their respective areas. This is big. Can this be a game changer of sorts when it comes to poppy cultivation in Manipur? Is this also a big boost to Manipur's war on drugs? And should the government now reciprocate and provide alternative means of livelihood wherever required? Well, to discuss this, I'm being joined by R.K. Nalinikanta, President, Community Network for Empowerment, or KONE, from Imphal. BJP leader M. Prithviraj Singh also joins me from Manipur. From Ukhrul, I'll be joined by Shimri Rising, President, Thankul Katamnao Saklong. But before I go to the panelists, let's listen in to what Chief Minister N Biren Singh had to say after the communities came forward to back his War on Drugs 2.0.
Cannot be compromised and cannot be defeated. This war should won. See, my pakt bhi yaad hai, jitna hai ye, isko just I cannot retreat, and I cannot be a defeated person or a soldier. We have to win it. We have to win the war. So aduna, with the involvement of the masses, automatically this war will be success. Of law, we're in a democratic country, but to deal with such criminals, such antisocial, we have extraordinary law also. If necessary, we will apply it.
Are also asking to provide the security agency wherever the cultivation is owned in the hill districts. What is your plan?
No, just irrespective of hill or valley, the government will do whatever the necessary, whatever the requirement of the public, of the state, to deal with such elements. Oh, to ready hai, we do it. We're now checking it, and we have already.
An upbeat Chief Minister N Biren Singh, they are confident that Manipur will win the war on drugs. Welcome, Mr. R.K. Nalinikanta, Mr. M. Prithviraj, and of course, Mr. Shimri Rising to Bottom Line. If I can come to you first, Mr. Nalinikanta, big boost, wouldn't you say, as far as the war against poppy cultivation is concerned? Two prominent communities coming forward, taking a pledge that they will not allow poppy cultivation in their respective areas. Don't you think it's a big boost to the war on drugs?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this discussion as a panelist.
Our pleasure, sir.
See, since your query was related on the need for banning the poppy cultivation in Manipur, so let me just give you a few comments. See, when we look into the background on the history of the drug use issue in the state, I think there is a need for the involvement of community in addressing the issue. Why I am telling this is because when we introspect the history of drug use in Manipur in the last 40 years, it was begun in the year 1980 with pharmaceutical drugs such as Pordom, morphine manufactured by the Indian company. In the beginning of 1984, heroin was introduced in the market. In late 19th 90 some other drug manufactured by the Indian pharma company was started misusing by the youth in Manipur, such as Pasbun, Nitrazepam, and codeine content syrup. In the beginning of the new century after 2000, a new trend came up, that is consumption of raw opium, introduced amphetamine type stimulant, which we also call it as world is yours, WY, and consumption of local made heroin and brown sugar started using in Manipur, has now very become common in Manipur. In the last 4 decades, no development is happening around drug use. Rather, the problem is becoming more and more worse. So one of the reasons that could be for our youth to start consuming raw opium and local made heroin, brown sugar is maybe due to the mass poppy cultivation in most of the district in the state. Even evolution of the local manufacturing unit is also another effect of mass poppy cultivation. So I'm really happy to see different community coming out to extend their support to the Honorable Chief Minister War on Drug campaign. We have to wait and see the outcome.
Absolutely, big move. Mr. Rising, communities coming forward. Well, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It's not easy. We do understand there are pressures. In fact, Chief Minister N Biren Singh had also come on record stating that certain insurgent groups are pushing poppy cultivation. So it's not an easy decision by the community leaders, but still they have taken it. Exemplary, isn't it? Mr. Shimra Rising, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try to fix the line with Shimra Rising. I'll go to Mr. M. Prithviraj. Mr. Prithviraj Singh, well, another big boost. You know, Chief Minister N Biren Singh has been particularly concerned about poppy cultivation, so much so that even recently, when he had a meeting with the donor minister in Guwahati, and all the chief ministers, almost all the chief ministers of Northeast were present in the meeting. In that meet too, Chief Minister N Biren Singh had sought assistance from the center in finding alternate livelihood for the poppy growers in Manipur. So clearly he was concerned, but then two prominent communities coming forward and extending their support, saying that we will not allow poppy cultivation in our area. So a big boost. And it's perhaps one of the first times in the last 5 years that communities are actually coming out to support the government in its war on drugs.
Yes. This is one of the biggest achievement of the Shri Biren Singh ji's government 2.0. See, this was war on drugs was one of our BJP's key point in the build-up to the election, which was just the last assembly election. As we all understand that Manipur state has been bordering with the international border with Myanmar, and as we all understand that the drug issue, the smuggling issue has been a chronic disease as far as the state of Manipur has been concerned. But in the last 5 years, after Shri Biren Singh ji took over as the Chief Minister of Manipur in 2017, the war on drugs has been the major success story of the Biren Singh ji government. As you all understand that only in the last 3 months, that is from 1st of January till on 23rd April, I have some data which says about drug peddlers arrested by the narcotics and NAB department of the Manipur Police Department is about close to 350 odd persons, and you'll be glad to know that couple of the drug peddlers and smugglers were convicted recently into 15 years of rigorous imprisonment. So this has given a fierce psychosis among the peddlers and the smugglers that you still have time. Honorable Chief Minister have categorically said in many public platforms that it is not too late for all the smugglers and the peddlers to come out to the mainstream, to surrender yourself or face the music. And you have also rightly mentioned that Honorable Chief Minister has mentioned in one of the big event in Northeast, and Honorable Chief Minister Shri Biren also has uh, put up this issue with the Honorable Home Minister and Honorable Prime Minister of arranging an alternative livelihood for the poppy planters and poppy farmers. So in that way, in the next 2 to 5 years, then we definitely should be having a drug-free Manipur.
Well, we'll discuss more on that. There are certain other points. If Mr. Rising can hear me now, can you hear me, Mr. Shimre Rising? All right, I think we need to fix that line once again. Mr. Nalini Kanta, well, it's so far so good. Communities coming forward to and taking a pledge to ban poppy cultivation in their respective areas. But as far as the war on drugs is concerned, and as far as the drug menace in Manipur is concerned, the battle has probably just begun, if we can say, because it's a long way to go. As we speak today, Mr. Nalini Kanta, another policeman has been arrested for allegedly supplying heroin worth over rupees 31 crore in the international market. So at a time when we are saying that the state government is doing a great job in bringing to book those involved in the trade, we have cops, we have policemen who are still being found involved in this drug nexus, drug trade. A serious situation still, isn't it, Mr. Nalini Kanta?
See, the problem of drug use exists in the state since the last 4 decades, that is 40 years. As I have also mentioned you earlier, that the problem, rather than seeing development around the drug use issue, the problem is becoming more and more worse. So, and the war on drugs that is happening now in Manipur, led by the Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Biren Singh, I don't want to give more comment on this because we are not aware, we are not very clear with the conceptual idea and with the objective of what actually the war on drugs that is going on in Manipur now is, what actually they want to achieve maybe at the end of 5 years. Are they really targeting, is this campaign really targeting the drug users, or is this campaign really targeting the drug traffickers? This is also, we are not sure. So that is the reason why I don't want to give more. I don't want to neither appreciate nor criticize on the war on drug campaign that is happening now, because we still need to observe and see the progressions, and then I can comment on this. See,
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
see, we would like to request the Honorable Chief Minister of Manipur to, to make it in the public domain clearly the objective of what the war on drug that is happening in Manipur is going, what they are actually targeting.
Absolutely. I'll take a reaction on that from M. Prithviraj. But before that, coming to you, Shimre Rising, if you can hear me, President Tangkul Katamnao Saklang, welcome to Bottom Line. Well, the Tangkul community has pledged to ban poppy cultivation in its areas. Communities in Manipur are now coming forward to ban poppy cultivation and have also extended their support to Chief Minister N Biren Singh's war on drugs. It's not easy. We do understand it's not easy, with the Chief Minister himself coming on record to say that poppy cultivation in the state is being driven to a large extent by insurgent groups. But still, community leaders have taken this bold decision, hard decision, big decision rather, which is the way forward. How do you feel? What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, thank you, Notice Live, for having me on this show. There have been some technical issues, and I cannot be, joining you from the beginning. Anyway, the Tangkul civil society organizations have this strong feeling that curbing of the poppy plantation through the initiative of the Chief Minister N Biren Singh with his initiative, War on Drug. War on Drug is a great gesture, and that we must all join hands together. The civil society organizations who knows the actual ground realities of the public, as such, the cultivated. So therefore, um, for every right-thinking individual, we are of the opinion that regardless of the nationality or the religion he or she belongs to, we must fight against this inhuman kind of, plantation. So, speaking of the threat to the humankind and the creation that the poppy plantation has, caused us is the mass destruction of forest and biodiversity, land and water contamination, loss of many lives, putting our younger generations at stake. So therefore, we are of the opinion that India, being one of the largest democratic country with one of the best rule of law, there is no doubt about it. However, it is the enforcement or the implementation that is lacking, and that remains a big challenge for the nation. Now, therefore, when our Honorable Chief Minister declares the war on drugs, we are of the opinion that it is a wise decision and a bold step, and we highly appreciate it.
No, but
However,
again,
the crux of the matter still remains that whether or not the public will cooperate, as you ask. Now, as for Ukhrul district, the entire populace has given the mandate to our respective civil society organizations, be it the Dangpul Nakalong, that is the Hohos, be it Dangkul Naka Ung Naulong, that is the chief associations, and we also have Dangkul Shinaulong, that is the Women League, and we also have Dangkul Miang Lalong as youth council, and TKS as the student affairs body. Now, the challenge still remains that the cultivators are of the opinion that whether or not the state government could provide them with the alternative source of income generation. Here lies the biggest responsibility of the state government. War on drugs should not be just a poster campaign kind of. It should be pragmatic, and the approaches should include that the rule of law must be implemented through the empowerment of the civil society organizations who knows better of the public sensation and their pulse. So empowering the CSOs and giving a backup to the government agencies would be one of the best effective, methods to
yeah, it's
curb the
basically a
plantation at the
two-way
grassroots level.
process. It's basically a two-way process. Alternate livelihood also have to be provided to people. Was there any assurance from the government? And yes, the great thing, the good thing, the best thing is that the people have unanimously decided to back this move of banning poppy cultivation in the area. But despite this, do you think it will continue to be challenging because of various known factors? Very quickly.
Well, providing adequate means of livelihood and generating employment opportunities must be, a priority. Because even having said that, the alternative arrangements would be made. So far, there are certain schemes like MG and REGA, which is, of course, at its best utility is, flawless, I mean useless at certain point of time. So of course, dignity of labor from the cultivators and hard work is anticipated, and we urge the cultivators to opt for it instead of asking the state government. However, the state government has equal and mature responsibility towards dealing with this.
Absolutely. Mr. M. Prithviraj, we had Mr. R.K. Nalinikanta, President of CONE, making a very important observation, making a very important point a short while back, saying that we have launched a war on drugs is all good, but does the government really have a blueprint ready? Are we targeting the traffickers? What about the users? What plan do we have in place? Do we have enough rehabilitation centers? There are a lot of factors. So is a blueprint really ready to take on the massive drug menace in Manipur?
Well, to partially answer your questions, let me first, for the benefit of your esteemed viewers, I will just try to put that at this juncture, people from all walks of life in Manipur, especially from both hill, valley, and people belonging to different castes and communities have come out in support of this great initiative by our Honorable Chief Minister. Yes, there might be a lot of ifs and buts, but honestly speaking, I would like to, draw the kind attention of my esteemed panelists also that at this juncture, let us not be too skeptical and critical about things which are yet to come. Yes, blueprint and all those stuff, other logistic support system are very much required. But yes, the start has already begun. The point I'm trying to make out here is that to all the drug peddlers and smugglers, the fear psychosis factor has already crept into their minds because under the leadership of Shri N Biren Singh and the police department, especially the NAB, is working day in day out in they have a very effective and very large network to catch hold of all these guys, smugglers, peddlers, informers. Any Tom, Dick and Harry belonging to the drug business will not be spared. The Honorable Chief Minister has categorically mentioned that if even if a family member of his is involved in drug trafficking, nobody will be spared and nobody will be above the law. Yes, the logistics, like we have just discussed earlier about giving employment and all those stuff and alternative livelihood will definitely be taken care of because this is an issue where the Honorable Prime Minister has a very, very special place to make Manipur a drug-free state. So definitely those logistic issues will definitely be taken care of in the near future. So let me also assure my esteemed panelists that let's all stay united in this war against drugs as all people from all communities, as we all understand that the drug issues managed cannot be solved by the state government alone. It requires public participation, and slowly and gradually people from all different communities and tribes and religion have come out in large number in support of this great initiative. So let us not be too skeptical or cynical about things which are yet to come, but instead let's all join hands together in this fight against drugs. That is the only attention which I would like to draw from my fellow panelists and other people from all walks of life.
Uh, Mr. Naranikanta, well,
Yes.
Manipur's
Can I just come
Manipur's yeah, Manipur's war on drugs definitely goes.
Okay, see,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have nothing against the war on drug. I myself do consider this campaign as one of the welcome move. My intention of trying to understand the conceptual idea of war on drug in Manipur is nothing but just taking the reference of the war on drug that was launched in 1971 in the United States of America by Richard Nixon. The United States has spent $1 trillion since Nixon 1971 declaration of war against drug. It has spent more than $51 billion per year on drug control effort. Since 1971, production and supply of drug has kept pace with increasing demand, availability has increased, and price have fallen. Serious negative consequences have resulted from punitive enforcement-led approach which placed control of the international drug trade in the hand of the organized crime and criminalized drug user. So that is the reason why I want the war on drug in Manipur to be different from the other part of the country. That is the reason why I was just raising this question. I want the war on drugs in Manipur to be different from other because when we look into the outcome consequence of the war on drug in United States, in Philippines, there was a lot of negative consequence.
See, again, there is no denying to the fact that the war on drugs, as far as Manipur is concerned, is not easy. The battle goes much beyond the boundaries of Manipur, spills over to the other side in Myanmar, and then Manipur is also a transit route. Drugs being smuggled from Manipur via Assam to other parts of the country. So it's a big international racket, let's face it. But if we look at the developments in the last few days, can we say, Mr. Naranikanta, that starting with tackling the poppy, the rampant poppy cultivation first, even that helps a lot. Even that helps a lot in the war against drugs. And this is something the N Biren government should now, having done the work having encouraged the people to come forward, the communities to come
Yes,
forward
yes.
and back the battle against drugs, it is also for the N Biren Singh government now to seize the opportunity, reciprocate and ensure that poppy cultivation actually does not happen in the areas from where the communities have come forward to pledge that they will not allow that.
I agree with you because we hardly see involvement of other people, such as civil stakeholder, religious leader, village chief, rather in responding to the drug use issue. I do so. See, I don't mean to criticize that whatever politician, police, and bureaucrat are doing is not meaningful. I do appreciate the work they are taking up. However, to make it more comprehensive and effective, we need involvement of different communities so as to help us respond the issue more holistically. So I am really happy to see different community coming out to extend support to the Honorable Chief Minister War on Drug campaign. So we can expect some good outcome from this, new strategy, allowing more community to get involved in responding to the drug use issue in Manipur. And also, I would like to humbly appeal to the Honorable CM of Manipur that there is also a need to create a space for the involvement of different stakeholders, including the community affected by the drug.
Mr. Simra raising, well, communities have even in the past opposed things like poppy cultivation, have supported the war on drugs, but this is the first time they're coming forward on paper, pledging to stop poppy cultivation in their respective areas. Do you attribute this to the improved law and order situation, or do you attribute this to the movement that probably this BJP-led government has been able to start in Manipur against drugs in the last few years?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, see, I belong to the village where the Honorable Chief Minister had declared a motel village on war on drugs, and that village is called Bay Village. Bay had been declared a motel village because they have gutted out an entire poppy plantation in that village. Now, the reason for this success then amounts to the empowerment of the public. We have certain civil society organizations, we have faith-based organizations, and we have many certain NGOs working on this. Now, of course, the initiative taken by the new BJP government is highly appreciated and it is truly welcome. However, when the agencies or the government departments are empowered to carry out the required work plan, there have been many cases of corruption and failure to implement the same. So therefore, this time around, we are of the opinion that the public should be directly empowered instead of going through the government agencies, is what we feel. And this is still continuing as per the new guidelines as well. So therefore, it is our earnest appeal to the Honorable Chief Minister that if the public is directly empowered to deal with the plantation at the grassroots level, I think that would be most effective.
So what would be your suggestion for that? How to directly empower the public when it comes to taking on this menace? Any suggestions that you have for that?
Well, the government might have its own blueprint on how to go about. However, one of the implementing agencies should be the public directly. So we have, like I mentioned several times, we have enough human resource power to tackle with. So therefore, when we are directly, empowered by the state government, we can always work together with the state governments enforcing agencies to back us up, and we will take the front row. We will go ahead and deal with the people at the village level, because it is the civil society organizations that they will cooperate more instead of the state government agencies. One reason being language barriers, because people at the village levels, they do not have the appropriate the translators as such to make them fully understand or aware. So awareness campaign and seminars at such levels are at times meaningless.
Absolutely,
So
awareness
therefore,
goes a
when
long
we
way.
can talk to them directly,
Yeah.
that would be most effective.
Mr. M. Prithviraj, Chief Minister N Biren Singh has also admitted that there is a link between insurgency and drug trade. Of course, there's a link between insurgent groups and poppy cultivation. How challenging are things on that front, do you think? Do you think it's handling of this part of the problem that is key to resolving the drug menace in Manipur?
So, well, it's a very, very challenging and tough job. In fact, one of the most challenging job of any government. See, for that matter, in the last 15, 20 odd years, this business has been on for last, decades old. But it's a chronic disease, which I have already mentioned earlier in your show. But now, Shri Biren Singh's government has taken this bull by the horn. It's a very tough job, but we have accepted that we need to end this, drug business, and we need to create, we need to present a future to our kids, to our children, our grandchildren, a drug-free Manipur, which will be beneficial for everybody, every stakeholder of the state. So it's a very, very challenging job. Yes, militant outfits involving with drug warlord. Yes, it's everybody. It's in the open secret that everybody know this. But the Biren Singh ji's government have taken this on, like I've mentioned it again, by the bull by the horn. Now, if you see the performance of Shri Biren Singh's government in the last 5 years, a couple of things you will notice is one is on drugs and one is trying to bring all the insurgent outfits into mainstream. So you must have seen the surrendery policy, how many insurgent outfits, militant outfits have already surrendered to the state government. So these are directly or indirectly somehow linked. So the government of Manipur have shown them a better path, and they have chosen the path which is shown by Shri N Biren Singh's government. So that's why you see in the last many 5-6 years that militant activities in the state of Manipur have drastically reduced, and in the coming next to 5 to 6 years, definitely we would like to bring all our brothers who are misguided and who have taken up the wrong path will definitely be come back to the mainstream. So this is also one priority of the Biren Singh's government, both drugs and militant outfit. These are all interlinked. It's a very tough job, like you have said, but Biren Singh ji loves tough challenges. He's by nature a fighter, so he'll be fighting this war on drugs, and definitely will come out victorious in flying colors.
Mr. Nalinikanta, the drug industry, if I can call it, I don't want to use that term, but I'm forced to, because seizures in Manipur sometimes go up to 100 crores, 150 crores, 500 to 600 crores in a couple of months' time. That is a significant big sum or number if you compare to some other parts of the country. So there's a lot of money involved, we cannot deny. Hence, the job becomes that much more challenging. According to you, where does the state stand now in its battle against drugs? One. Second, we know there are big challenges ahead. There are big challenges currently because it's a big industry. There's link between insurgents and drug mafia, and it's all a coordinated effort from certain elements that we cannot deny, and it goes beyond the borders of India also. So it's not going to be easy we cannot blame a single state for not being able to control the menace. It needs a coordinated effort on the part of the entire Northeast, part of the entire nation. Having said that, do you still see Manipur's war on drugs heading towards the right direction?
See, this is too early to comment on that. And one thing that I'm very confusing is, can I take 2-3 minutes?
Go ahead.
Okay. See, this is too early to comment on your query. See, and one thing that is very confusing to me is when we look into the drug war case in Manipur and the number of people who get conviction, the ratio is, there is a huge, gap in the ratio between the number of people convicted and the number of people, number of cases of drug war cases. And on the other side, illegal cultivation of poppy are offense under the NDPS Act. Anyone cultivating poppy without a license is liable for punishment under Section 18 of NDPS Act. So, and apart from this, we have also seen many people arrested with a drug war more than crore and crore rupees. But the conviction rate is very low. So that is the reason why this is just a beginning. Our, Honorable Chief Minister of Manipur still need to give his maximum effort to make this ongoing war on drug campaign in Manipur success. Because as a citizen and as someone working in a drug user organization and being a victim of the drug trafficking, I was also once upon a drug user. Now I stopped using drug for the last 20 years. So I myself consider as a victim of the drug trafficking, drug traffickers in the state of Manipur. So being one of the victims, my humble appeal is to increase the rate of conviction comparing with the number of drug hold cases, and to implement the NDPS law effectively, to give more and more people conviction whenever found with illegal poppy plantation or illegal drug trafficking.
Point taken. Mr. Shimri Rising, do you think finally the people of Manipur have joined the war against drugs? This is a decisive moment, do you think? And it is for the government now to take the people along in this battle, which it cannot win without the support of the masses.
Well, I cannot speak for all for now, but of course, through the initiative, which is a bold initiative, I think people are sensitized or aware to a certain level. The awareness level has climbed. So, yes, through the support of the people, I think this initiative will go a long way and we will come out victorious. However, the challenges always still lies, whether or not the public will come out in full support as Ukrut district has demonstrated. I appreciate our counter brothers of Bomai community who have also, pledged their vow to the chief minister that they will be giving out their all-out effort. Likewise, the people of Ukrut district is ready to take it to the extreme for, the successful completion of this mission.
Absolutely. The victory lies with the people at the end of the day. The government needs the people's support for a war of this scale. Thank you so much, Shimri Rising, for joining us on Bottom Line. Thank you so much, Mr. M. Prithviraj Singh, also Mr. R.K. Nalinikanta, for your valuable inputs.